I am not buying any books. I'm on like a one-day book ban. What I still like really want to read on my bookshelves because there's a lot that I haven't read on these. Hello, my fellow book lovers. I don't know why I said that. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome. If you have never been, we are revamping this channel. If you have been here from the start, we're going to do more things that I love doing, which is like bookish and self-care and cozy vlogs and games and stuff like that. So guess where we are? We are at my favorite store in town, which is Barnes & Noble, but it's going to be a little bit different. Yes, we are doing a Barnes & Noble vlog. I want to walk around to like every section and just check out what's there, but we are not buying any books. I'm telling that to myself. I am not buying any books. I'm on like a one-day book ban. I'm not allowed to buy books while I'm here. Every time I say that, I end up walking out with books, but I swear I'm not going to buy books this time. I was just here a few days ago. I don't need any more books. I have so many good books in my library that I really want to get to. And if I keep buying and buying and buying new books, I'm never going to get to those. So I really just need to prioritize those. And today I kind of wanted to just like get out of the house, go to the bookstore, walk around and show you what I think is worth it and what I think is not. Check out what's new, look at what's on sale, tell you what I think is worth it, what I don't think is worth it, what my favorites are, what's on my wish list. This is all going to be done over a voiceover because I am way too socially anxious to talk in here. I've already stopped this recording like 4 times because someone walks past my car. So it's not going to be like a walking around talking vlog, especially because I see a lot of people in there right now. Hopefully it's not too busy. It's during the day, during a weekday, so hopefully it's not that bad, but we are going to go in. I'm going to do a voiceover and kind of just like chat through what I am wanting, what I have, all that stuff that I just listed. So let's go ahead and go in because I am getting shiny from how hot it is in the car right now. So let's go. Also, before I go in, I need to know your guys' opinions on audiobooks because I'm so stubborn and I hate it, and I hate that I can't like get past it. I am listening to my first ever audiobook, The Stand by Stephen King, because I love Stephen King, but I just know I went back and forth on it, and I started reading The Stand. I got to like chapter 16, but if you know how big that book is, chapter 16 doesn't even make a dent in how long it is. Like, it's over 1,000 pages. It's tiny. The font is tiny. And if you know Stephen King, he throws in like a million characters. I was getting super confused, and I felt like it was just taking way too long and taking away from other books that I was wanting to read. So I decided to download Libby and get the audiobook. So I've been listening to that. I'm like 5 hours or 6 hours into it now. How do you guys feel about audiobooks? Because I have been stubborn my whole reading life about audiobooks. I'm like, no, I have to read it. I have to read it for it to count. But that's not true. I feel like audiobooks are just as valid as reading. But in my head, I have like this mental debate of, is it? Is it? But I know it is, and that's not fair because I think audiobooks are very valid. I think that Kindles are very valid. It's just, it used to not be my preference, but I've never even given it a shot, and I feel like it's so much easier to understand The Stand through the audiobook, so I'm actually really enjoying it, and like while I go walk around Barnes & Noble, I'm definitely going to be listening to it. So we have our audiobook on. I just want to know your guys' opinions, because my opinion has shifted in the past literal week, so let me know. Let's go. I kind of just wanted to walk around and look at stuff and show you guys everything. So Powerless, one of my favorite books of this year by far. This has become one of my favorite sections, which is surprising because I never read fantasy before last year. So that's new. Love Divine Rivals. Of course, I had to show that. This cover just like grabbed me, and I really want to look up what this is about because it looks like something that I would really enjoy. And yes, I'm judging by the cover. Is this series worth it? I've always wondered that. I've never started it. I do want to start this series, but is Shatter Me worth it? I also just bought Scythe, so I'm excited to start that series. And of course, I had to stop at my favorite book of all time, House of Hollow. Everybody needs to read it, but it's definitely not for everybody. I do have Hotel Magnifique too, but I've never read it. These are some other books that I was just checking out in the store. This one looks really good. I did buy this one, and I've heard it's super popular. I am curious if it's good. This one looked really good too. Unpopular opinion, I really like this book.
and I just ordered this book because it grabbed my attention last time and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And these What If Disney ones look so cool. Also, is that worth it? It just bothers me that the cover is so much like Twilight, and I just have been fighting buying it. I bought Dance of Thieves. I bought Lightlark. I haven't read them yet. I really want this book too. And I do have this one. I just haven't read it yet. The Naturals. I struggle with this because I hated the Inheritance games, and I'm worried that I won't like the Naturals, and I hated Girl in Pieces too. But let me know if the Naturals is better than the Inheritance games because I've heard it's so good. I'm fighting reading it. The second book to Butcher and Blackbird came out and I ordered it on Book of the Month. I also really want to read this book because a lot of people have been talking about it. One Dark Window, one of my favorite books of all time. I do want the Encyclopedia of Fairies because it looks good. And The Only Survivors is one of my favorite thrillers. If We Were Villains was so good. I didn't like A Flicker in the Dark, but it's okay. I have not been a fan of Frida McFadden, but I do love Home is Where the Bodies Are, and The Only One Left is one of my favorite thrillers again. I do have 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hugo, but I haven't read it yet, and here's me trying to take like an aesthetic little clip, but I got nervous. I really regret not buying the sprayed edges of this one. I bought it on Book of the Month, and it is beautiful. This looks so cool. I don't know what to say about this one. It's in the horror section, and this is why I'm reading the audiobook of The Stand. I had to show you guys, look at how many freaking pages there are and how small the font is. I just don't have the mental capacity for that right now. I tried reading Dune once, and it made me feel so dumb, so I stopped. I'm going to try to convince my husband to read the Star Wars books, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. And this is the only DNF I've ever had. I'm sorry. I know people love Brandon Sanderson, but it was just not for me. I still want to read The Way of Kings, though. I really want this book, but I've heard that it's not good. So let me know. I just bought this one the other day because it is so pretty. I'm a sucker for sprayed edges. And I also want to read V.E. Schwab, but I feel like I have to read the Addie LaRue book first. This book is so intimidating, but I've heard it's so good. Is it actually worth it? Colleen Hoover, I like, but I'm not a romance girl, so I usually skip right past this section. But this book caught my eye, so I was like, oh, I wonder what this is about. I'm just not the biggest romance girly. I like it sometimes. Twisted Lies was not it, and maybe that's what turned me away. But I feel like I was meant to read this poem. I just stopped and opened it to a random page. This looks really cool. I do have a Discovery of Witches. I just haven't read it yet. I do love a witchy book like Wayward. I really want all these like Greek mythology ones, and I'm reading this one right now. Exciting. A Court of Thorns and Roses, of course, have to read. Kristen Hanna, I adore. I really want to read the Atlas Complex because I read Masters of Death and I loved it, and sprayed edges are my weakness. You guys, it's a miracle. I actually did it. I didn't buy any books. I feel like it helps that I've bought a lot of the books that I really want, which is not good. But at least it stops me from buying more. There are some in there that look super interesting. If you guys know my reading style and have watched like my TikToks or anything, I've been looking for a book that's like House of Hollow for years, and I can't find it. It says it's a paranormal thriller or a paranormal something, but I like categorize it in my head more as like a gothic or like a gothic eerie, ethereal kind of book, and I cannot match it. Like, I've tried reading The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland, and it's really good, but it's not the same. I don't know. It's like this is gonna sound crazy, but I love like eerie, weird things, and it's like the eerie, weird, decrepit, like dead flowers growing out of your skin kind of thing. So I've bought some books that are supposed to be similar. I'll show you when I get home that are supposed to be similar that I haven't read yet, and then I have read a couple that they claim are similar and they were not similar at all. So I saw some in there that might be like kind of similar, and I'm hoping that they will be when I eventually get my way to them. But let's go get lunch, and then I might surprise my husband with a Dutch Bros. So let's go get Dutch Bros. I'll go pick him up. We'll go get lunch. And then I kind of want to talk you guys through my TBR because I've been trying to make more of a TBR recently. I'm a mood reader 100%. I've been trying to make more of a TBR and have it like on a shelf so that I know what's coming up, and maybe it'll help my brain like actually focus on what I have in my library rather than what is at the bookstore that I could buy. So let's go. It's getting really hot in here. It is 85 degrees today. We have a heat wave, but 85 in a hot car does not feel like 85. It is, we have a dry heat where I live, which is way better than a humid heat, but it doesn't feel great. So
let's go get a Rebel. Okay, excuse the AC. It is so packed in this parking lot right now, so I'm just kind of like trying to sit it out a little bit. I decided no Rebels. We're gonna go later if we want to go, but we did a Wendy's pickup order because I ended up being right next to Wendy's. That's what we were craving. So we did a Wendy's pickup order. I'm going to pick it up and then we're gonna go home. So yeah, I get stressed out in parking lots, so this is fun. Cheers. Oh, I was gonna ask to try that piece until you did that.
It's not spicy.
For me.
Not even for you.
Give me a little bite. Your flavor is bomb. Okay, I just got home. I finished eating. I have my Diet Vanilla Coke. Let's talk through a little bit of like what I'm reading right now and what my TBR is and what I still like really want to read on my bookshelves, because there's a lot that I haven't read on these because I am an impulsive book buyer. So right now I am reading Queen of Shadows. I think this is the 4th in the series. I'm in the middle of Throne of Glass. I read ACOTAR last year and I fell in love with it. I've never liked fantasy before, but I feel like I'm in my fantasy era now because that's all I can read. So I'm on book 4. I love it. I feel like I'm really getting to the good spot right now. I'm like right in the middle. I read like 100 pages this morning, so I'm hoping to finish this by the end of this week. And let's go through the rest of my TBR. I want to show you my little TBR cart thing. It's not really a cart. I don't know why I'm calling it a cart. My little TBR shelf. And why I do that, I kind of explained it already, but I'll show you. So this is my little like TBR section. It's just like a little stand, and then I have more right here. Obviously this isn't my entire TBR, but it's like the stuff that I really want to read immediately, which sometimes my mind changes because I get book of the month every month. Sometimes my mind changes because I have pre-orders. Like Powerless is coming out soon. The second book in Powerless is coming out soon. So like obviously I'm going to prioritize that, and I change my mind a lot. So let's go through these. I am 100% a mood reader, but I feel like putting them up here puts them a little bit more in my face. So I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of have to read that now, even if I'm not in the mood. So let's talk about it. Obviously on my TBR is the rest of Throne of Glass because I'm only halfway through the series. Or a little bit over halfway. And I am doing the tandem read. I know some people disagree with that. I know some people agree with it, but I am going to do the tandem read because I feel like it would help me get through them, and I know that some people get bored when they read them separate, so I want to know your guys' opinion on that, but I'm set on doing it. So you're probably not going to convince me to do it otherwise, but I just want to know people's opinions. So from the top of my shelf, I guess this one isn't technically a TBR because I am currently reading it. I'm listening to the audiobook. I showed you guys it in Barnes & Noble, is The Stand by Stephen King. Now, I couldn't really show you that much in store, but I just want to show you how tiny the font is, and the pages are so thin, and it is about 1,140 pages. So I just didn't see myself getting through this anytime soon. That's how much I got into it, and it took me a long time to get that far. Another book on my TBR is A Botanical Daughter, which this is one that's supposed to be, or I haven't heard that anywhere, but I read the description and someone actually recommended it to me on TikTok as something that might be a little bit similar to House of Hollow because it might have those like eerie kind of horror vibes. This one, it was in the horror section, so it might be a little bit different, but I'm still really excited to read it. And then I chose this one because I used to watch the movie Beautiful Creatures. I actually just found it in our cupboard the other day. I used to watch the movie Beautiful Creatures over and over and over again by myself because I just thought it was so cool. It's so weird. It's so different. And that's what I love about House of Hollow is how like weird and different it is. So I decided to give the book a chance. I know that this book isn't like popular right now or anything like that, but I still wanted to give it a chance because I feel like I'm going to really enjoy this series. Another book that people have said is similar to House of Hollow is Bittersweet in the Hollow. I have had this on my TBR for a very long time. For some reason, it doesn't grab my attention, so I never end up reading it, and it's sat up here for months, and I feel like I should just like prioritize it and get it out of the way at some point because I need to read it. It's been up here for months. I don't even know what it's about. My book toxic trait is that I don't read descriptions of books. I go based off of what people tell me. I go based off the cover. I go based off, like, if I read the very beginning, the forest doesn't forget, it waits. Cool. Sounds like me. So I read all kinds of genres. I don't really like to stick to one genre. I feel like I get bored if I read one genre over and over and over again. I've been really on my fantasy binge recently, but even with like Throne of Glass, I'll pause in between two of the books and read something else because I just need like a break from that. That's how I've always been. Again, might be attention span. I don't know. So I really want to read The Whisper Man by Alex North. This is a horror or a thriller. I loved his book, The Shadows. I've actually tried starting this in the past and it didn't grab my attention, but I wasn't a book rut at that point. So I might be better. It might be better now that I'm like more in the groove of reading it. But one book that's been on my TBR for so long and I'm so excited to read it, I just haven't had the chance to. I actually saw more books by this author in the store that look so good. They were part of like what I was showing in my Barnes & Noble vlog, is Delicious Monsters. This cover alone sold me, and no one had talked about this book before, and now I've seen like little sprinkles of it, which is nice. But the first line got me. It literally says Daisy sees dead people, and I was sold. I'm gonna try to zoom through this stack because there's a lot more, so let's try to go a little bit faster. I have Powerful. This is the little novella that goes between Powerless and Reckless. I adored Powerless. Reckless comes out, I think, next month or this month, so I really need to read this. It's tiny. It won't take me very long. It just hasn't been a priority, and it just came in recently, so I also really want to read If He Had Been With Me, and then also If Only I Had Told Her, which I've heard conflicting things about these. I've heard some people say they're not worth it, which I've experienced that in the past where like super popular book talk books that people rave about are just not my cup of tea. And that doesn't mean that they're bad books. It's just everybody reads books differently. So I'm excited to read these because I love a sad book. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like other people agree with me. Sometimes you just need to read a sad book. Another one that people say is supposed to be like House of Hollow is What Moves the Dead. This kind of cover is my kind of cover. Like the decrepit, weird, eerie, like the Delicious Monsters cover. I love this. Anything that has like a face or dead flowers or mushrooms or anything like that. Certain kind of face. Like this kind of face, no. But like the face with the... like this kind of face, yes. At some point this summer, I do want to read the second one, To Daughter of a Pirate King. It's not my priority. I really liked that book, but it wasn't anything that was like outstanding. But I do want to read the second one. I'm just really upset at the third one's cover. Can you guys let me know if there is another cover that looks like this for the third one? Because all I've seen is the one with a real person on it. And for some reason, I just don't like books with real people on the cover. Is that just me? Another book that I've been meaning to read for a long time, I actually already bought the second one. I have it on my shelf, like, right there. I have it on my shelf already because I just assumed I would like the first one, is Light Lark. It's supposed to be, like, Hunger Games-ish, like, dystopian, that kind of genre that died a few years ago, which I'm very sad about, but it did. So, excited to read that. I feel like I'm on the very late train with this book, but I do want to read V.E. Schwab's other books like Vicious and that whole other series, but I feel like I'd be doing a disservice if I don't read this one first. I just feel like I have to read this one first. And this one, I don't know how I haven't read it yet. It's been here. I got stuck in Throne of Glass and I haven't had the chance to. Kristen Hanna's writing is so sad, so good, amazing, perfect. Never thought I would read historical fiction, but the only historical fiction I'll ever read is Kristen Hanna. Now the last 4 books on my TBR are books that I literally just bought the other day at Barnes & Noble, but whenever you buy like a new book, it immediately becomes priority on your TBR, which is why I'm trying not to buy anymore as much. So I got Final Girls by Riley Sager because I really liked his writing. And the only one left, so I decided to pick this one up. This one isn't as highly rated, but it is really short, and I feel like a thriller is a really good brain break in between like in-depth books. I also got Deadly Education, which my husband actually picked out for me. Again, it's another short one. It's like a breather book, and the only line I saw was, it's one of the most versatile fantasy writers. It's dark academia, and I decided that Orion Lake needed to die after the second time he saved my life. That sold me. I've been calling it the Schoolmance series, but it's actually the Skullomance series. I've had this book on my want list for so long, so when I saw that it was buy one get one half off last time, I got it. It's Scythe. I got corrected on how to pronounce it. It is Scythe, I think. correct me if I'm wrong again. I really want to pronounce it right. But I've been wanting this series. Did I need more series to add onto my TBR? No. But did I do it? Obviously. And like I said in my Barnes & Noble vlog, I am a sucker for sprayed edges. That's why I have a whole shelf, and I'm going to get another shelf for them, is this. My husband also picked this one out. Like, look at how pretty that is alone. But then you have the sprayed edges. So pretty. Now let's go to my bookshelves, and I'll show you some other ones that are like really high on the priority list. But I was talking to Steven about, my husband, about this last night, is that I feel like no matter what I do, I'm never going to have time to read these. And it's such a sad thought. Like, when am I going to have time to read all these books plus everything else that I want to read? I don't know. It's so hard. So as you can see, I have a lot of book of the months, and I have not read a lot of these. So there's a lot that I need to read up there. Those are kind of like my filler books though. These are books that I like really want to read or really loved. So this is where like my favorites are. At the bottom is the first of a bunch of series that I need to start. But like From Blood and Ash, I read the first one a very long time ago, but I want to reread it so I can read the second one. Cruel Prince, I really want to read. Haven't gotten to it yet. All of these, I want to read at some point. I've read some, like I've read this one, which is If We Were Villains. I've read this one, The Invocations. But like I need to get to all of those. My favorite book of all time, my favorite series of all time. I really want to read King of Scars. I've read Shadow and Bone, and I've heard that this is so much better, so I do want to read this at some point. I've read all of these except for these two? No, these three. I've read all of them except for those three. And then there's a bunch of series that I want to start on the bottom. Besides Hunger Games, like I want to start Dance of Thieves. I want to read Legendborn. I've heard mixed things about this series. A Winter's Promise, Red Queen, I really want to read. I love that series, but I haven't read Caraval yet. Caraval? I'm not sure about that one anymore because I'm not a romance girl, but maybe I'll give it a chance anyways. Discovery of Witches, I tried to read. I just wasn't into it. This is like my kind of YA or stuff that I read when I was younger. So like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Harry Potter, Mary Downing Hahn. Everybody should have known that I would love horror when I literally read Mary Downing Hahn in middle school. My Stephen King shelf. All of my Stephen King books. Plus Pennywise and plus a fallen mini Pennywise. And then there's a ton of books on these shelves that I really want to read. Like another one that they said is super similar to House of Hollow is somewhere in the blue. I usually know exactly where they are, but there it is. It got switched a little bit. Is House of Salt and Sorrow. I've heard that one's supposed to be super similar. I did tell you that I would show you guys which ones they said would be similar and were not, which should be somewhere down here. I've heard that the Hazelwood is also supposed to be super similar. So this is one of the books that I was told was supposed to be similar to House of Hollow. It's called My Throat and Open Grave. I really liked this book. Nothing at all like House of Hollow. It was like it's supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be a horror, but I didn't see those elements at all. I saw more like fantasy kind of thing, like a cute little folklore fantasy. But maybe that's just me. It wasn't similar to House of Hollow though. And then this is like one of the highest recommended ones to be similar to House of Hollow. I have a feeling it's just because the cover. This book was awful. I wasn't a fan of this book. Some people are, not me. Didn't think it was similar at all. I'm still waiting for the day that I find something similar. But yeah, that is my Barnes & Noble vlog and my TBR and what I'm reading right now. So let me know in the comments what you guys are reading right now. I love to see what other people are reading and what you want to see next. If you want to see anything specific, go ahead and follow my TikTok if you haven't already. I post regularly on there. I post every Sunday on this channel, but yeah. Let me know what you want to see. If you like this video, make sure you hit that big thumbs up. Helps me see what you guys are enjoying. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you comment down below. If you have not yet done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I just realized that Razor Blade Tears is missing. It's in the front room because I was looking at it yesterday. And if you want to be notified every time I post, hit that bell icon. And I will see you next time. Bye!